Alright guys, welcome back to day 2. Now today is the actual day we're going to spray our glyphosate product. So what is glyphosate? Why are we using it? How does it work? And what results should I expect? Glyphosate is a non-selective herbicide, meaning it will kill everything green. It also works systemically, meaning that it is translocated or moved throughout the plant. The reason we use glyphosate is because it's kind of the gold standard in that it has a very broad spectrum of control, like I said, on almost anything green. This is not my first choice, and this is not something I really want to do. I just don't have another choice. The only way that I can really wipe out everything in this lawn is to use this product. So as I always say, we practice integrated pest management, which means we use the least harsh means possible to complete a job. And in this case, the least harsh means possible is pretty darn harsh. Throw her down! But again, it's not something I'm going to do a lot. This is a one-time shot to get everything out of this lawn so I can replace it with good turf grass. Throw her down! So with that in mind, you want to get a product that's got the highest amount of glyphosate possible. It doesn't matter what the brand name is, it's really about the glyphosate content in the product you have. You want to get the highest amount you can find. One of the advantages though to this eraser that was sent to me from my friends from Solution Self-Chem is that it also includes a surfactant, which is another way of saying it's got a sticking agent, something that's going to make it rain fast a little bit quicker. But before we go getting too crazy, make sure you have the map that we made in step 1, and if you haven't seen that, I'm going to link that video below. You need to go check that out. You're going to have to start with your map here, and we're going to have to do a little math. We want to make sure we have enough product on hand to complete the job. Alright, so the first thing we need to know is how much square footage are we dealing with, and that's why, as you remember, we did this math. Alright, so the next thing we need to know then is how much product do we have on hand? So we know, because we can look at this label, that we've got 1 quart of concentrate here. So let's go ahead and write that down. Now the next thing we need to do then is find out what our fill rate is. So our fill rate, what are we going to be filling at? Because there's different concentrations that you can use here, and you can see, first thing you need to do is find out your method of delivery, and for us we're going to be using a tank sprayer here, or what I call a hand can. And you can see that we've got a couple different concentrations we can use. If we only have some smaller weeds, they're not really mature, then it's going to be a 1.5 ounce per gallon fill. However, we're over here in the tougher weed to control category, brush or lawn renovation, nice that they use that term, and this fill rate here is 2.5 ounces per gallon. So then our fill rate then is 2.5 ounces per gallon of water. Then the next thing we need to know is, well, how much is that going to cover? And that's nice because they tell you that right here. So no matter which fill rate you use, that the coverage area is 300 square feet, equals a 300 square foot coverage area. Now we know what our fill rate is. So we've got our fill rate and we know how much concentrate we have, but there's one more step that I have to do here. Okay, Google, how many ounces are in a quart?
1 U.S. liquid quart equals 31.999 as fluid ounces.
Thank you, Google. So I now know, because I don't remember that from school, that 1 quart equals 32 ounces. I hope you're seeing how the math is coming together here. So then the next thing I need to understand is how many 300 square foot fills am I going to need to cover 3,800? 3,800, which is my square footage, and I divide it by 300, which I know is a 1 gallon fill, and what that tells me is then 12.6. So I'm going to need 12.6 1 gallon fills in order to cover my entire area. So we're gonna need, that's what I need, right? So then the next question is, well, in this bottle of eraser, how many 300 square foot fills are in this bottle? Well, that's pretty easy too, because I can then just take 32 ounces, divide that by 2.5, right? And that's gonna tell me how many 300 square foot fills or 1 gallon fills are in this bottle. Hey, look at that, 12.8. 12.8 have. So am I good? I need 12.6 and I've got 12.8. So that means that I'm going to have just a skosh left over, close enough for government work anyway. Now, there's one other piece here though. We calculated everything based on a 1 gallon fill, right? But I'm not going to use a 1 gallon sprayer. Even though I'm only spraying 3,800 square feet here, it wouldn't be that bad. But I think a 2 gallon sprayer is going to be a little bit better. It's just going to be less trips back to the fill area. So I think that's about right for my size. So with that newly added information then, that means that each fill for me is going to actually need 5 ounces of product, right? Because I have a 2 gallon sprayer. So I'm going to need 5 ounces to fill my 2 gallon sprayer each time, and that's going to work out just fine. So I hope you'll do that math to make sure you have enough product to complete the job and to make sure that you're getting a good, even, consistent coverage across the entire lawn. Alright, so the next thing we need to talk about then is how are we going to actually mix this stuff. The first thing you're going to do is get your PPE, personal protective equipment, in order and ready to go. Typically, you can find the recommended PPE for the product you're using on the label or on the MSDS, Materials Safety Data Sheet. And you can see here for me, I need to be using long sleeves, long pants. They say shoes and socks, but I'm going up to rubber boots, also rubber gloves and eye protection. That is my PPE. I'll also say, as you can see here, that changing rubber gloves in between when your hands are really sweaty is reminiscent of failed memories of prom nights gone by. The other thing to remember when you're filling is go ahead and fill the sprayer up at least halfway to 3/4 full of water before you put in your concentrated product. And then as you fill the rest, do not let the hose end come in contact with the mixed product inside the tank. You can see I'm using this Gilmore hose end nozzle here, and I like to use this particular setting. I don't know what they call it, but see how it kind of flows into the tank that way? The action of the way the water's entering the tank here also helps to keep the foaming down, which I thought was pretty cool. I agitate my product as I'm walking from my fill area out to the lawn itself. I make sure to shake it real good. As far as spray techniques go, I like to do a trim pass first. So basically I go ahead and spray all of the edges all the way around the entire area to at least 2 feet inward. That way I know that my edges are covered nicely. It also helps me to keep all the product in the yard and avoid overspray that can get out into the gutters. Go ahead and set your hand can nozzle to give you a fairly decent mist. That way you can get everything wet. And that's pretty much what you want. No matter what kind of technique or arm swing you use, the key is that every area needs to be coated till wet. Now, some people will use tracker dye, which is a good idea, as it just helps you see where you've sprayed and where you've not, so you make sure you don't miss any areas. I like to just wear polarized sunglasses for that, because with straight sun overhead, the polarized sunglasses make it really easy for me to see the difference in the wet and the dry areas. Additionally, I'll use things that lay around the yard when I have to leave one spot to go fill and come back. I'll use little landmarks like this pine cone here to help me remember where I left off. Another question I get often is, Alan, should I mow the lawn before this application? And in my case, yes, I did mow the lawn. You do not want to scalp it down though. That's not the key. We need to leave plenty of leaf surface exposed for this product to hit. However, in my case, because I've got a complete salad bar, I've got probably 5-inch weeds in here, 4-inch weeds, and 2-inch weeds. There's just so many. So if I didn't cut it, most of the weeds laying lower down in the canopy, so to speak, would not get any product on them. So I went and cut to a 2.5-inch level here just to try to get everything on a level playing field to go ahead and receive the product. Additionally, I like to go ahead and clean up the edges and make everything look beautiful, because if these weeds are going to their death, they're going in looking classy as I can get them to look. So that's really all I've got for you right there, guys. This product takes between 8 and 10 days to take effect, so I'll give you an update here very soon. Until then, let me know if you have any questions. Leave them in the comments below. I'm Alan Hain, the Lawn Care Nut. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the lawn.